So now let's fast forward a little bit and let's talk about you have offered an applicant a position, you've done the background screen. Now, let's not talk about positive drug test yet. Let's talk about criminal conviction. So, as an employer, you have now received the report to say that someone's been convicted of a crime. So Jim, maybe you can walk us through some of the steps that employers need to be aware of and what action to take.
First thing they need to be aware of is that the criminal justice system doesn't have a social security number for an individual in their records. We have the jurisdiction, we have their name, and we have their date of birth. So that's how we conduct our criminal conviction information searches. Rarely, but it has happened where an individual, for example, Virginia M. Brown, we had a client who was looking at Virginia Margaret Brown. And we did our search and we found a record under Virginia M. Brown. And that's why it's very important for an employer to take that pre-adverse action step where they're required to let them know, hey, we found this criminal conviction. And the Virginia Brown that our client was looking at wasn't the same Virginia M. Brown that was in the criminal conviction. And we found that by doing some extra work at no cost to the client. The files had been moved to a warehouse, like 3 miles away or whatever. So we had to pull that file. Unfortunately, in that file, there was a motor vehicle record search. So it's important that once you have found a criminal conviction, communicate. You need to communicate through the pre-adverse action letter, which we have in our system, that says, hey, we're about to take adverse action. This is your chance to say that person's not me, or the record is not correct. Frequently, we will have an individual say, well, that record shouldn't be there. And we'll say, okay, we went to the court and we found this information, but the individual will say, well, my lawyer said that was expunged from my record. And we have to say, look, I'm sorry, but you're admitting that the criminal conviction is there, that you committed it, and you have to get with your lawyer to expunge the record. We can't do that work for them.
As I think through some of the best practices that we recommend to employers, one is ensure that you have a policy related to background screening and drug testing, and you have an employment attorney take a look at it so that it's meeting the regulations in the states that are specific to where you operate. So that's really, really important because, as you know, Jim, there are a lot of laws around period of time that you can background check. Was somebody a juvenile when the incident occurred? And there are a number of others. So it is important that once you receive that background check, and if there is a conviction that the employer is concerned about, that they absolutely ensure that they are going through the adjudication process. So they're engaging with that person in interactive dialogue and asking questions, right?
Right. And the background check policy is very, very important. And one thing that policy should have in place is the identification of an individual within the company who is going to be involved in that process. Not that managers don't know what they're doing, but sometimes they don't know what they're doing. And so if you've got that internal expertise, that can go a long way to avoiding issues.